These Peaceful Warriors Martial Arts Teammate Online Academy classes are brought to you by the Miami Public Library, with support from the Oklahoma Department of Libraries, and the Institute of Museum and Library Services.
Me and my team got moves to make. We gonna apply that pressure, you thought you was safe. Anything we do from now on is not for sure. Better lock the door, cause you know we go. Grind, get up and go get it. Grind, get up and go get it. Get up and go get it. Get up and go get it. Grind, get up and go get it.
Hello and welcome to Teammate Tricking. I'm Corey, and today we're going to be breaking down this technique right here known as the grass cutter. It's a very common technique in breakdancing, and it's really fun to do. It's deceptively simple in its mechanic, but there is some stuff we would still need to learn and break down in order to be able to do it well. We're also going to be talking about some tips and tricks for putting together your own combinations with other tricks that you know, maybe some things you learned from previous videos to put into more smooth combinations or even play with different ways of throwing the techniques, different levels of throwing them. So, to go ahead and start off today, we're going to reference a technique that we covered in an earlier video known as the Martello. The setup for the Martello can help us in getting momentum to first set up our grass cutter. It's not 100% necessary, but sometimes when we're first learning, have a little bit of extra momentum is helpful, and this will also help us with our balance in this as well. The one thing we got to remember is that the foot that we are sitting on, we want to make sure that we just have the ball of the foot on the ground, not the heel, as we crouch down onto it, much like we're just crouching. Okay? So to start off, we're going to start referencing our Martello a little bit. So you're going to put one foot in front of the other, have one leg closest to the screen. This is now going to be known as your front side leg, the leg that's closest to the screen. So now you're going to take your front side hand, again, the one closest to the screen, and the object is to place it palm down, not with your fingers, but palm down just outside of your front foot, while at the same time taking your other hand and extending it over your ear. This will allow you to build momentum from your first initial setup to be able to really get a nice, quick, fast grass cutter going. So, all I want you to do is we're going to go down and make this motion right here. Ready? And down. So I just lean over from my side, I bend at the hip, I bend my knees, my knee is not on the ground, and I put my palm on the ground while I reach my hand across. What this does is it creates a big amount of stretch right here, and that stretch creates sort of a spring-like tension in our body for when we let our rear leg go. So let's do that one again. Boom. And then push your hip forward like you're getting a good stretch out of it. All right, and come back. Go ahead and do that one more time. Boom, and come back. It's okay to reach about this far away, from your foot. You don't want to reach much farther than 6-8 inches though. All right, so we're going to switch feet. We're going to do a few on the other side. Down and reach. Make sure you get that good stretch and come back. Down and reach. Get that good stretch and come back. One more. Down and reach. Good stretch and come back. Now, I understand that the first things that we do, these little warm-up things that we do in these videos when we're building up into these tricks can feel kind of boring or can feel like, oh, I can do it once, it's easy, so I shouldn't repeat that. But I'm going to tell you that is a big mistake. No matter how easy it is, you should always repeat all the time your fundamentals and the fundamental pieces of these motions, because it's in those fundamentals where your tricks get ultra clean and where you really learn the balance and strength to pull it all together. So now we're going to do the next step, which is really just like the Martello. The only difference is once we push our hip forward and we've got that tension built, and we go to bring our foot around, instead of bringing it up high like a Martello, we're going to bring it just over the top of the ground, and we're going to bring our knees together. So here we go. Front side leg, front side hand's going to go down, reach, and take your back leg. You're going to swing it just off the ground all the way through until your knees are together and you're crouching on your other heel. I'll try to turn around so you can see my heel is off the ground, ball of my foot on the ground, and I'm crouching on it. This is really the beginnings of your grass cutter right here. So let's do one more on that side. I reach down, stretch, slide the foot across until the knees come together. Good. And we're going to do it on the other side. So switch feet. Other foot will be front side now. We're going to reach down, stretch, let the leg go, bring the knees together. There we go. Now you don't want to go ahead and overturn, though you can. And that's kind of another level of this trick. If you can balance on one foot and continue to turn, but we'll get to that in a minute. So, now we're going to go back to our original side, and we're going to bring in the next part of what makes this the grass cutter, where you can keep it going. Okay? Follow along. Front side hand down, other side reaches, got that good stretch. I swing my leg over until my knees come together. Now I'm going to drop my hands on the other side of my body where my straight leg is, and I'm going to start sliding it on around. Don't bend your knee, leave your knee straight, but I'm going to slide it on around right next to that foot of the leg I'm crouching on. Now the leg I'm crouching on, as I've got my weight on my hands, is going to step over that leg. And then the leg that's on the ground will stay straight and continue all the way around back to where my knees are together again. As it comes near the hands, we cross the hands over to the other side of the body until we get a nice tight knee to ankle kind of thing here. Then we place the weight more on our hands and step the other foot over while we continue the slide of the straight leg. From there, we still want to go slow, but work on the gracefulness of it, right? The smoothness, trying not to stop. And it's really hard to do slow, but in learning how to do the motion slower, you internalize it better, and you get better strength for being able to do it. Now, I think from there, you can see where that technique goes. You get faster and faster, the more impressive it gets. Okay? So now I want to go ahead and give you the next level of that, if you're comfortable with it. Just another fun thing you can add to your grass cutter, or just do for fun from that what we call hastiata, that low sweep kick. So, this one's a lot of fun too. So you can start off by doing your grass cutter, and then stop jumping over your own leg and try to balance on the foot you're kneeling on. Let me kind of show you. So we start into grass cutter, and then maybe I start balancing. You can use your hands to push yourself around and try to continue the circle on the ball of the foot you're sitting on. It's just another level of it. And of course you can do that without the grass cutter as well. Just like that. Another little bit of a breakdancing maneuver you can practice into that. Just keep working on that grass cutter and all the other techniques you've learned through teammate tricking. And in the meantime, I'm going to give you a few more tricks for putting things together. Transitions can be really difficult. Transition is just a way to put two things together. For example, if we take a pop 180 round and we want to end it backside, as in kick through and in backside, and then we want to join it to a pop 180 hook, which spins backside, well, that's really tough because then I have to change directions. The one thing you want to do is any combination set that you have, you want to be able to make each technique spin in the same direction. Most right-handed people like myself spin better to the left, but everybody's a little bit different. The only way to really find out is to stand on a line, make note of what direction you're facing, jump and pull your arms to each shoulder one at a time, and see which way you spin better. I know if I go to my left, I get quite a bit of rotation. It's set 120 degrees on that one, 2 full spins. If I go to my right, I have a bit less, quite a bit less. And that's typical of everybody. So this is a good way to figure out which way that you spin better and to focus first on learning the techniques that spin in your favorable direction. But do not neglect working on the same techniques going the other direction so that you can build better combinations without having to change directions. There are some subtle ways to change directions, but you're better off using transitions to be able to keep your directions the same. So for example, if I wanted to do a pop 180 round and in backside, and I wanted to add a pop 180 hook to it, and I don't want to change directions, I've got to do something in between that, right? A couple of options. I could turn my pop 180 into a front side ending, and then throw my pop 180 hook with the other leg. Or, if I really just want to throw them with the same leg, I could throw my pop 180 round, backside, and then step forward. That's known as a cheat step, into the pop 180 hook with the other leg. These are all options to be able to keep your spins going the same directions. Then of course there's also cheat takeoffs and there's miss the leg transitions. There's so many things that you can learn to be able to take even the smaller techniques and make them really cool. Just to give you an example, maybe we do a compasso to a pop 180 round. But we'd like to use a miss the leg transitions. Just to give you an idea what miss the leg is. That's when I throw my first technique. Say it's a Martello, or I was going to do compasso, wasn't I? Say I throw my first technique and it was a compasso. Miss the leg would mean when it comes back behind me, I don't put it down. I leave it up off the ground, and then pop into my next technique. So you can create all kinds of things with missile leg transitions, such as just a spin kick to a cheat 360 without putting your foot down in between. And you see how it adds that extra little bit of flair to it? So these are transitions. So in your quest to learn more tricks, to learn more combinations, do not ignore the transitions and different types of transitions that you can use. I mentioned one cheat step to be stepping forward. Another type of cheat step is to slide backward. This would be the kind you would use for butterfly setups and things like that. Also, we've worked on pop kicks. Pop just means jumping off both feet. But most things, there's also cheat versions. So there's a pop 360 round. Boom. And there's a cheat 360 round. I tried to slow it down so you guys can see the difference. Could you see how in the cheat, I lift my knee first before I jump? And in the pop, I jump off both feet. So these are some more of the basics of tricking. Remember, any goal that you want to achieve, you've got to look at the simple parts. You've got to spend a lot of time on them. You've got to break it down into the smallest steps and try not to bite off more than you're ready for at a time. Keep yourself challenged. Don't stay in your comfort zone. But going too far too fast can also get you injured or just leave you unmotivated and feeling like you're never going to get it. It's best to have patience with yourself. Accept where you're at and spend a lot of time with these. Just have fun with the process. That's the whole point of tricking, is to get with other people who are interested, who like to move and show off and learn new ways to move, and just work on it and just be right where you're at. And that'll make sure, or thinking like that will certainly help you be able to maintain a better self-image, being happier with the things that you can do. We've talked about transitions a little bit when we were doing other combination pieces earlier in this series. One of the transitions we talked about, for example, was going into our rise kick. So real quick, I want to just go through the whole combination we've put together, real short, and just kind of mention a few different places you could use different transitions. So the first technique in our combination was a pop 180 round, boom, that ended backside. And then we went to a Martello. Now, of course, we could do this a little bit different if we wanted to give a different technique, but I chose these two techniques for this combination because they fit together well without a transition. So it would go pop 180 and then smoothly into Martello. Another thing as you're trying to learn to put these tricks together is to make sure that at first, just throw one trick and then don't move your feet from your landing. Boom. And then throw your next trick from that exact spot. And then from there, start trying to slow down instead of stop. And just not stop, but go slow in your transitions. So, kicking it down, slow down to start, and then Martello across. Until you can speed up and keep a consistent sort of rhythm to it. Now from our Martello, our next combination was the rise kick, which we went straight into, no transition. We just dropped down or jumped into it depending on what level you were at. But of course, you can also cheat step that by coming out of your Martello, stepping forward and spinning into that to have even more momentum. All right, so just to give you an example, just starting from the Martello, I have Martello and jump to the rise kick versus Martello, cheat step, swing to the rise kick, which that one wasn't my best, but just to give you an example of just the ways those transitions can kind of change what you're doing, right? Have fun with it. That's the main point of all of this. Have fun with it and try to keep things smooth. Until I see you again, be the best teammate you can be and be the best at being you.